and then wait.
Welcome to Healing Powers TV. I'm your host, Laura Powers, and I'm pleased today to have Bernice Escorpizo with Kangen Water to talk about the importance of clean water and some things that we don't know about tap water in general. So thanks so much for being a guest today.
Well, thank you for having me.
I would love it if you'd start out by talking about Kangen water in general, and then the history and what got you interested in
Sure.
this.
Well, you know, I was like many people. I thought water was water, right? And certainly bottled water could be better than tap water, but I really didn't know. A family friend of ours introduced it to us. He basically gave us some information, and I didn't look at it. I just left it on my TV, and my husband and I ended up taking a trip up to New York. And after lunch, my husband, who had really bad acid reflux, started to feel it come up. So our friend gave us a glass, or gave him a glass of water, and it was literally gone like that.
Wow.
So my husband was like, "We have to get this," and I was like, "Are you serious?" But it's water, right? So we came back to Florida at the time where we were living, and we just got more of this water, and it really helped me with my carpal tunnel and arthritis issues, because I was a massage therapist for so long. And certainly when you're doing repetitive motions, you have to be, you know, aware of those pains.
Sure.
So it's been great, and we decided to invest in one of these machines for our health, and we've just been sharing it with people, and you know, the testimonies are just incredible, miraculous, some even. So it's been great. And our company started by making these machines for the hospitals in 1974. So instead of the doctors prescribing medication, they would prescribe this water to their patients. And the people in Japan would literally line up at the hospitals with their empty jugs to get this water. Wow. And so then our company decided to make a residential unit so people could have it at their own, you know, disposal at their convenience.
I think that says a lot about it, that it started with a medical purpose and not some, you know, alternative health reason.
Exactly.
It gives it a certain sense of legitimacy in both worlds, which I think is really interesting. So how long has the company been around?
They're started in 1974 in Japan. All the machines are manufactured there. And our machine is actually certified by the Japanese Ministry of Health, Welfare and Labor, which is the equivalent to the US FDA as a medical device. So it's like having your own little hospital in your house.
Wow. That's very interesting, that it's, because I feel like in the United States our water control is at a lower level, which brings me to tap water. What are some of the toxins and kind of unknown hazards to the everyday person that are in tap water?
Well, this is very interesting. Actually, Kangen in Japanese means return to origin.
Okay.
So it's what water was meant to be like, you know, coming from the waterfalls and stuff like that. What's happened now with a lot of municipalities, you know, in order to treat the water to make it quote-unquote drinkable, they have to add so many chemicals to the water, like chlorine, lye, to quote-unquote protect our pipes, you know, from being eroded. There's also arsenic. There's, you know, especially in Florida, in certain places, there's traces of rocket fuel. You wouldn't think that, but, you know, with NASA being right there,
right.
That's certainly getting into the water system. And there's also studies now with prescription drugs. So, you know, you could be drinking, you know, birth control and you wouldn't even know it, or, you know.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Because we don't know the long-term effects of a lot of those things on people.
Yeah, and you know what's sad is that there's a certain amount of, you know, chemicals that are allowed into the water and not have to be reported. So
okay. So if you're not drinking tap water, then you're likely drinking bottled water, and that also, you know, there's a lot of problems with bottled water as well. So can you talk about some of the problems with drinking bottled water, whether it's a small bottle or even, you know, a bigger one?
Well, there's a couple that you really have to look at. One is, you know, the cost. Second is environmental. So let's look at the cost for a second. You know, when you have these big companies that are literally pumping millions of gallons of water from the ground, you know, just to bring it back to their factories, to filter it or, you know, just bottle it and then ship it, you know, then they're going to sell it back to you for about 1,900 times the cost of what tap water is.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. It's a big markup.
It's a huge markup. It's costly, and then you have the issue of the plastic bottles itself. With all the crude oil that it takes to make up that bottle for that one-time use, and then you're just throwing it away. Yeah. So, a lot of the bottles aren't even recycled. There's about 40 million plastic water bottles that are thrown away every day just in North America alone.
Yeah, I read a statistic the other day that 86% of plastic water bottles go to the landfill and are not recycled. So that's pretty mind-boggling. Right.
So you use it one time and then it sits in the landfill for many years.
And with the fuel crisis, I think how much more could we have if we weren't throwing all that away?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Another issue that I wonder if you could talk a little bit about is chemicals from the plastic leaching into the water, because it seems like that's a concern, especially if you're reusing plastic water bottles.
Right. So it's made out of peat, which is part of the benzene family, which is just a fancy word for a carcinogen or causing cancer. So when the companies bottle the water and then they ship it, it's probably in a hot truck, especially if you think about it in the summer, and then when it sits in front of the gas station, with the sun beating down on it, that could restructure the water. If you're adding all those chemicals and the plastic is leaching into it, so what you're finally drinking, there could be added stuff in there.
So you're drinking plastic, which is probably not advisable. Okay, great. One of the things that's interesting about Kangen water, and which I've started to hear a lot about recently, is the importance of drinking alkaline water versus tap water, bottled water, and most water, which is more acidic. So what are the health benefits of that? Why is that important?
Well, surprisingly, Laura, in 1931, Dr. Otto Warburg, he won the Nobel Prize for discovering the cause of cancer.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
1931. And it's very simply that cancer cells will grow and thrive in an acidic environment, and they cannot survive in an alkaline environment. Okay. So what's recommended for our diets is to be 80% alkaline, 20% acidic. I know personally, I don't eat 80% alkaline, which you can get from green leafy vegetables, and other alkalizing foods like that. So with our diets mainly being 80% acidic, we need to counterbalance that. Otherwise our bodies, will just be thrown off balance. So an easy way is to drink water, especially alkaline water, and we're mostly 75% water. So really the quality of our water and what's in it and the type of water should really be accounted for.
Right. And I've heard also that it's not just cancer, but bacteria and viruses also thrive in a more acidic environment.
Right, so exactly.
There's overall health benefits to making your whole system more alkaline in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what kind of health benefits you've had personally, or people that you know from drinking?
Well, the biggest one, was my my husband personally. That was very quick. It's been 4 years now since we've been drinking this water. Hasn't had acid reflux, so that's huge. Definitely helped me with my arthritic issues. And we started to give the water to my parents. And my mom was, saying, we have a whole house filtration system. We don't need this. I'm like, Mom, this is different, this is a medical device in Japan. Just try it. It's not going to hurt you. And both of my parents are type 2 diabetic and have high blood pressure. So within a couple months, they saw their numbers, going down.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we've just been sharing this with people, and, it's anywhere from inflammation coming down from breast cancer to, with their colon issues and skin issues like atopic dermatitis, just a whole slew of things. There's so many different great testimonials.
Okay, great. Well, is there anything else you'd like to bring up that you think our audience would like to know about Kangen water or just water in general?
Well, with World Water Day coming up, March 22nd, I really think it's something that we should be conscious about, you know, because water is certainly something that I think is overlooked, especially when you look at the whole wellness puzzle, right?
Yeah.
You have nutrition, you have exercise, you have your spiritual and emotional health, but where does water come into play?
Yeah.
You know, and especially if we're made up of 75% water, we should at least be more conscious about that. So
yeah, I think that's a really good point, and a lot of people get the message, drink more water, but it's only recently that I've started to be aware of the importance of what kind of water you're drinking, because it's like you said, so much of our body is water, so it's especially important.
Oh, absolutely. And when you really, you know, you look and see the different types of waters and what it's actually doing to you, it opens up your mind. It's a totally different way of thinking about water.
Great. Well, if someone wants to find out more information or get a hold of you, how do you recommend that?
Sure. I have my website is wellnesswithwater.info. You can also go to goinggreenwithwater.com.
Okay.
And you know, and then you can write me an email there, or my phone number is there. So
great. Well, and I'll also post that information with the episode on my website, which is www.healingpowers.net. Well, thanks so much, Bernice, for being a guest today. It was really informative.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate it.